Welcome to the Real CP Show. I am your host, CP. In today's topic, which today is June the 25th, 2026. This Chinese national at this college in the U.S. that he had poisoned his black college student roommate of his. But see, within American Blackism overall, Black Americans overall told the past is the past. The past has never been the past. The past still goes into the present. The present goes to the future. But numbers of Black Americans are told to put stuff in the past while other people can talk about their past, which still goes into the present, which still goes into the future. You see how this little disgusting game goes, that people love playing these little silly tactics toward millions of Black Americans with few exceptions, right? See, these type of devious, nonsensical, Macanaka's tale of fake, devious, anti-Black Americanism, fake model minority ones. They're mentally dangerous, in other instances, physically dangerous, right? And for far too long, so many numbers within American Blackism keep trying to open their hearts to the fake model minority ones in this situation, who they don't care nothing about. Black people, Black Americans, they don't in an overall way. And so when I read this story, I'm looking at it like this. I'm looking like this. This is so obvious. What continues to keep happening toward Black Americans by these type of bad versions of Anglo-Asians, the one it's applies to, right? On that, right? Now, on the right side is the gentleman, the black guy. Looks like he may be biraciality, maybe black, maybe white, depending, but looks like definitely some Black American in there in situations. And sometimes they are not taught by parents that no matter what you think, within Americanism, one drop rule still applies in the overall way, right? Black American overall, this is what they still look at regardless. So the thing about it is, let me go ahead and share my screen on this part. Let me just play this particular main video first. On that, I'm utilizing this under fair usage doctrine.
A former Lehigh University student is facing attempted homicide charges this afternoon after officials say he tried to poison his roommate. Our Cleve Bryant is outside Lehigh University right now. Cleve?
Well, authorities say it was an act of racism that opened up the investigation that led to the discovery of this possible plot for one roommate to poison and opened up the investigation that led to the discovery of this. Authorities say it was an act of race. Well, authorities say it was an act of racism that opened up the investigation that led to the discovery of this possible plot for one roommate to poison and kill another.
I think, like everyone, this kind of came out of left field.
It appears a secret grudge led to a secret attempt at murder inside this small Lehigh University dorm building. Authorities say last spring they discovered Chinese international student Yukai Yang was adding toxic chemicals to the university dorm building. Authorities say last spring they discovered Chinese international student Yukai Yang was adding toxic chemicals to his black roommate's drinks.
Mr. Royal experienced extreme pain in his lower extremities, as well as severe burning and numbness.
Police started investigating Yang in April when his roommate Juwan Royal had property vandalized with the message, "N-word, get out of here." Yang was charged with several misdemeanors for that incident and suspended from the "get out of here" with the message. Roommate Juwan Royal investigating Yang in April when his roommate Juwan Royal had property vandalized with the message, "N-word, get out of here." Yang was charged with several misdemeanors for that incident and suspended from the school, but that was just the start. Police say they found Yang, who was a chemistry major, spent months poisoning Royal with the toxic metal thallium.
Mr. Royal explained.
Yang, who was a chemistry major, spent months poisoning Royal with the toxic metal thallium.
Mr. Royal explained that he remembered drinking water from a bottle in mid-February and immediately felt a burning sensation on his tongue.
Police say until presented with the lab results, Royal thought that he and Yang were friends. In fact, they lived together for several years. Presented with the lab results, Royal thought that he and Yang were friends. In fact, they lived together for several years.
At least Juwan thought of himself to be friends with you, Kai.
Kevalise Matthews Alvarado was the resident advisor for both students last year. She remembers Royal getting sick multiple times, but she is equally shocked to hear the accusations that Yang was secretly poisoning Royal while acting like they were friends.
So where was this model minority mythological at, right? Where is this black and yellow coalition, right? Genericness at, right? Where is that at? Huh? Where was that at? Like, and this didn't happen a long time ago. This only a few years ago. So the situation I related. So this is why I'm a firm believer in time, peace, purpose, right? The time keeps the time at that particular moment in time, right? Because this system says, oh, the Negroes, they're very easy to sit there and tell them nonsense, tell them, oh, forget about the past. Don't worry about the past. Who cares? While other people can talk about the past. You understand? Our brain don't function and think, you know what? That was 50 years ago, 60 years ago. That was yesterday. Our brain does not function like that. Do you understand? But this system has made millions of Black Americans to act as if you got to look at the future. 10 years ago, somebody was talking about the future. 10 years now, it's the future right now. Do you understand? Is there still anti-Black Americanism, racial racism, hatred? Yes. Nothing has changed on that. Only but even more of people of various groups and backgrounds, immigrationists, various ones, Puerto Rico illegal immigrants, however other people sitting there playing this black and brown game, model minority, communities of color, all that bull crap. That seems to keep succeeding upon still millions of Black Americans with few exceptions, right? Now, you have some people that love trying to play the little tackers, and they'll say, it's not all. You say what now when they try to play that game? Oh my goodness, you can't put all ages in there. What do you mean by that? Because it's not all. I'm not playing that tactic. Because notice they're not saying, oh, the bad version of Anglo-Asians. They're not saying, okay, we're going to make sure we get this under control, this anti-Black American hatred, because without Black Americans, many of us wouldn't even be in America. Because so many Black Americans experience Black pain. You understand? So many people have ridden off on the wagons, right? On that part off of Black Americans. You understand? They don't care about Black Americans on that regardless, right? They're just over here to get theirs, right? Who cares about Black Americans, what they think, right? You see how the game goes on that situation. It's just like this situation right here when I did a Relate Over podcast not too long ago when, hold on, give me a second. Where is it at? Where did it go? Wait a minute. Wait. Give me a second here. Give me a second. What did I do? Okay, here we go. Let me try this again. And this didn't happen long ago at all. Within the last, few weeks or so. This right here. People remember this, right? Make sure you can see this. Oh, Rick, wannabe KKK bias accidents child, right? That when he was found guilty, right? Him and his little knucklehead, little Klan member looking wannabe son, and his little sneaky little Rick KKK bias accidents child by his little disgusting little KKK wannabe woman child wife, right? That was sitting there showing hatred toward Black Americans, showing to that little 14, 15-year-old Cyrus, black young male, right? So the thing about it is, and what happened then? They accused him of sitting there stealing water. And on the video in the podcast, I did that where it showed he was not stealing water. right? So he freaked out, right? Black pain goes on consistently. He got out of there and said, "Oh, look, I'm not feeling comfortable at all. There's hate going on, stuff like that." Which that's why more Black Americans need to stop shopping at various other places, not just certain number of these kind of places. Whoever shows that kind of hate toward Black Americans, how many Black Americans we have to look at? Okay, why are Black Americans shopping this place before all these people start running and fleeing from their own places that look like them? Black Americans still doing their thing already. Do you understand? So he gets acquitted. You understand? He gets acquitted. Rick Child sitting there booming the little Cyrus black American fellow, young teenager, shoot him in the back, and he gets acquitted and used self-defense. But the situation with Carmelo Anthony, right, when he's 16, 17 years old, right? Accused of sitting there juking one of the Metcalf brothers that is relayed that they possibly might have been bullies, who no one told that Metcalf brother that got juked to go over there at that track meet under that tent part to tell him he can't be there when other people around didn't say anything about that. And when he's self-defensing himself, right? Oh my goodness, he's violent. The black male is violent. You see how that game goes, but nothing dealing with who told that Metcalf brother take his little wannabe segregation shelf with his twin brother, whatever it is, to go over there and cause trouble, or the main brother to go over there to that tent to cause trouble to this Black American youth teenager. No one told him to go over there. No one told him to put his little claws on Carmelo Anthony. But you got so many people skip that part. Do you understand that? There are numbers of good personnel within certain sections of the Asianness, but there is so much tension themselves. There is no pan-Asian love in various parts of the continent of Africa. Continent of Asia. And this is the point. People get to my Asia. Like, which part of Asia talking about these people? Asia is a continent. Like Armenia, Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Those are Asian countries. So you say they love running this game upon millions of Black Americans with this generic Asian situation without clarification and content. So the last thing I want to sit there and read about is, give me a second here. Is this particular part? Make sure you can see this. Former Anglo-Asian Chinese national chemistry student, anti-Black Americanism, one, sentenced to 7 years for thallium poisonous. A former chemistry wannabe Anglo-Asian Chinese national anti-Black American fake model minority one college student has been sentenced to at least 7 years in jail after admitting to poison his Black American roommate with the highly toxic metal thallium. Oh, make sure you can see this. Okay. On March 24th, UK Yang, who was pursuing an undergraduate degree in chemistry at Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, was handed a jail sentence after pleading guilty to the poisoning. I'm going to all that part. Yang spoke to the court, and psychologists testified on his behalf with regard to his mental health diagnosis. Oh, he said this little game go. Oh, it's a mental. We got to look at his mental health now. Oh, he wondered about mental health when he was sitting there doing undergraduate work. Oh, he's a model minority. It had nothing to do with his mental health diagnosis when he was sitting there poisoning him by choice. Do you understand? If it was vice versa, and the black American gentleman, college student, was poisoning this mythological fake this fake piece of mythological model minority, Chinese national one, right, in this situation. If that black man did that to him, you think they'd have been saying, oh, we got to check the black man's mental health status first? They'd be like, oh, no. That's blatant anti-Asian hate. Which Asians? Asians a continent. This how that game goes, right? This how the game goes. The court ordered Yang to be incarcerated for 7 to 20 years, with the state president making the final call when he is paroled. Yang has been in prison without bail since December 2018, the time he has already served will be deducted from his sentence. But let me go back here for a second. The victim, Juwan Royal, now that could be Black American, that could be pseudo black, right? So, but in this category, they're gonna look at him as black in general. And his family spoke to the judge with regard to the impact this crime has had on their lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially. Yang has previously confessed to buying thallium, a colorless, odorless, and tasteless element that is known to be toxic, online and mixing it into royals, food, and drink in March 2018. What was that? In March 2018, the Anti-Agent Hate Crime Bill 2021 only took 3 months, and the utilized numbers of some insignificant numbers. They try to use Black American males as some catalyst to say, look what they're doing to agents. Which agents? Agents of continent. And then was found out, as I already knew already, that it was primarily numbers of males within the Panamanian culture who was doing that kind of stuff to various types of agents. But they didn't want to use them because they know there are places not to use certain numbers of males within the Panamanian culture as a catalyst. They know there are places, right? So Black Americans have always been the fallback for some of other people's agendas. And unfortunately, too many numbers within American Blackism still haven't understood that tactic yet, right? The poisoning caused serious bodily injury in the nature of diarrhea, vomiting, skin lesions, syncope, dizziness, and most severely neurological effects in the nature of the bilateral polyneuropathy, neuropathy, such and such person relayed told the media. Also, in 2018, Yang was also charged with intimidation after writing racist graffiti, talking about the N-word, in his shared apartment with Royale. He had previously been charged with recklessly endangering another person, aggravated assault, and simple assault, but these charges were dropped as part of the plea with the prosecutors, right? But at the same time, you got people keep talking about model minority, and that is a mythological. That is a fake. You know what? That is a monkey knuckles, right? Of nonsensical pathologicalness, right? Neuroticness of some generic talking about model minority. You have a better chance to believe in Zeus was real, and Poseidon was real, and Heracles was real. Do you understand? You have a better chance to believe that was real than to believe that none of these devious personnel like this give a 2 cents about Black Americans. Do you understand? These are some very mentally dangerous type of ones like this, right? I couldn't help but note your pain. My pain, it runs deep. Share it with. And again, the fallback is, instead of sitting there and calling out the hateful version of the various types of wannabe Anglo agents, the ones applies to in this situation, they want to make excuses. But of course, it's vice versa. Oh, what are Black Americans gonna do to stop this anti-agent hate? How about shut the up with that tactic, right? You say what now? Do what? Oh, because it's not. Oh my goodness, it's not. Oh, shut up. We're not playing that tactic. Oh, that's not. Oh, get gone with that now. Talk to your own bad ones. Oh my goodness. Talk to your own. Oh my goodness. Right. Yeah. You see how the game goes, right? They think they're very sneaky, and they are, toward numbers of Black Americans that don't know the game. Again, this is what 2018 when this happened. See, sometimes that's why it's great to go back in and look at these things. This is not a long time ago, people. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP show.